Well, I noticed that the last episode that we did, like my volume was super low,
Mm-hmm.
and now that I'm looking at the levels, I'm figuring out that my mic is not going past into the proper like
La
it's
la
like
la la la
super.
la. Okay, I'm just gonna do a little test talking right now, just to make sure I don't like hear myself um breathing like I did before. So
Hold on, let me. Did I? I have a limiter, but testing 1 2 3. Yes, super low. How is that? Am I too loud now?
no, you're good. Like, okay,
Hello.
now you're too loud. That was
I'm gonna get really loud here in a
stop.
second. Oh. How about now?
That
Testing 1 2 3. 1 2 3.
oh my god, I used the skill explode head on Andrew. He's a
I
level
love you sent me. It's like, I love when you sent me that picture. It's like explode head. Excuse me.
yeah, I'm sorry, what?
Oh man! All right, this is my normal tone of voice. 1 2 3. Starfinder is a game that we have not played. Okay,
But we're gonna talk about like as if we know what we're talking about. It's
Yes.
speculation, yay!
Yay! Let me just crank it down a bit.
Well,
Ever since I had like a really big update on my computer recently, and it like messed everything up.
so the last like 10 minutes I've been trying to change it to that GIF thing that you got in the background. It's like no. Discord's like no. and it's
We
like
don't- we don't do
disconnecting
that.
me
We
every
don't-
time. It's like no.
We don't do that here.
I guess not. There's something up on my Discord where it's just like, no, you're good. You're gonna stay with the static image of Cyberpunk City, baby.
Hey, it's futuristic enough.
Yeah, I know.
All right.
But I was trying to do the hacker one because the hacker one like moves in the background too. It's just like no.
I'm gonna try my hardest not to hit the table
Ow, fuck.
because fuck, bro. Like I'm like
Oh,
listening to a
oh,
podcast.
fuck.
And yeah, that's literally me. It's just
Oh,
like everything I do.
fuck. Like a red letter media thing where they like knock all the shit off the shelves.
All right, you ready to start recording?
Yeah, let's do this thing.
3, 2, 1, record.
That's me.
All right, now
That's me
start
activating
syncing
the thrusters. Okay, go on.
here. 3, 2,
One,
1,
sync.
sync. All right, cool. That seems to be about right.
Yeah, I had to lower my recording audio.
Catastrophic error.
I had just nope. All of a sudden, all the audio I hear is just the fans on your computers kicking on at the same time, and all the lights in your and all the lights in your apartment.
For some, like, what is this a podcast?
What the fuck? Jose is apparently recording from the Eastern Bloc.
Oh man! All right, let me share this with the group. Maybe they'll join us. Who knows?
I
We have
had
no friends.
I had to reduce my recording audio even more. So I mean, if anything, we can amplify it or
Well, you're fine now.
well, yeah,
At
on
least
your end, I'm fine, but the recording end, I could like hear every like inhale and sniffle and like burp and like I can
But that's what makes our podcast unique.
where you can hear Andrew's bladder actively filling up from the coffee.
All right, so that's that. Let me put my Twitch. Put your Twitch. Give us some views.
Okay.
Gotta farm them views.
You family.
It's like mining bitcoins, but without any monetary value.
Does it harm the environment like mining bitcoins?
Yes.
I don't know how I feel about that.
All right. Let me cue up the intro.
Oh god, hold on, it's gotta play the Bob's Burgers movie ad, which is like an ultra high def, and it's gonna go to our stream, and it's gonna be like in like 240p.
480p is.
Yeah.
How many pixels do you want? All right, ready?
You get up to 12. That's it.
That's about it. Anything past that is $1.
But it's my own stream.
Doesn't matter.
Twitch don't give a fuck.
Right.
Anyways.
That's why you subscribe so you don't get ads. See?
I'm not gonna subscribe to my own fucking content. That's just come on.
First of all, it's trash. But second of all, it's my own content.
Yeah, like I'm the one actively making it. Yeah. That would be like me as a like if I was a musician going out and buying my own CD.
All right, here we go. Ready?
Yes.
And welcome to another episode of A Talk of Opportunity. This is Jose, your host, as per usual, and as always, my co-host, the amazing, the wonderful, the smart, the one that's picking the snows right now. If you're watching us live,
I was scratching my eye,
Andrew. They don't know on the street. They don't know on the podcast.
But yes, I'm here, out in space.
Yes. Should I be wearing a helmet?
Oh, can we? just have all the audio muffled. Oh, you know what we should do? We should have like the little like. Here's that.
Yeah. Oh God, the episode will be so much longer than what we're thinking of.
Yeah. Here's the copy back.
Oh, today is a very special episode because we're not talking about D&D.
Get that.
What?
Get that Lord of the Rings schoolyard bullshit out of here, all right? We're grown men. We're talking about spaceships.
I want to be an astronaut.
I want to play Star Trek.
Today, we are talking about the game that we've been meaning to play for like the past year and a half, but we haven't got a chance to. So instead, we're just going to talk about it. We're talking about Starfinder. And with that, let's roll the music.
So after that brutal assault by the Orc warrior, the initiative now goes to you. Jose, what do you do?
I'm going to cast...
green screen just like it's floating in space. like that Joel Haver skit.
And we're back, Andrew.
Yes.
Today, as you can see, because of our backgrounds,
I'm fucking pumped.
We've been studying for the past week, and by that I mean the last 2 days.
I have been studying for the past hour, frantically flipping through this book.
But before we get into the depth of what Starfinder is, let's talk about what we're drinking today. Andrew.
I am drinking a cold brew version. I've been drinking a lot of cold brew because of my stomach. It's actually the lowest acidic form of coffee. But is it going to capture it? Yeah, I've been drinking Barefoot Coffee Roasters from Santa Clara, California. I've been drinking their Kerberos blend. Not Cerberus, Kerberos, because the Greek language does not have any soft C's, and it's their darkest roast profile. And let me tell you, this thing's got some kick to it. So,
what does it taste like? Does it taste like coffee?
No, it just tastes like straight coffee. No, actually, it's got a bit of a chocolate caramel kind of taste to it.
Ooh, that's fun. I love chocolate caramel combinations. Like I don't drink coffee often, but when I do, it's usually some caramel in there.
Yeah, like it's like immediately chocolate, and then after the flavor kind of settles, that caramel kind of slides in.
Ooh,
it might be because it's like a colder version. I imagine if it was hot, you could probably that caramel will like pop more. But right now it's nice and mellow, so I'm not going to knock it. Yeah.
Well, I am drinking a repeat from a couple episodes back, the Liquid Death Bury It Alive.
Yeah.
I'm lazy. I was studying until the last minute. I didn't have a chance to make some tea.
It's also the future of water. Just like cold brew is the future of coffee. Why are we talking about the future? Because we're in the future. We're actually in the year 317 AG, which is where Starfinder takes place. Which, for those of you that are thinking Starfinder is just Pathfinder in space, you're not entirely wrong.
Yeah. You're almost there.
Almost there. It's like take Pathfinder. Okay, so it's not. For those of you unaware, first of all, this is a big fucking book.
This is a chunker. This is like two Dungeon Master's Guide together.
Well, it's funny you should say that because this is actually the Player's Handbook and the Dungeon Master's Guide just smashed into one.
I found that interesting. I was like, oh, okay. I mean,
it's 500 pages. So,
only.
Well, 500. I think it's like 524 or something like that. But it's like, jeez, this is like, and even outside of page count, this is like compared to 5e, this is gritty. Now,
yes.
Now, from what I understand, it's not as gritty as Pathfinder, but it's definitely more chunky than 5e.
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. I mean, even like just reading, like the way the pages are formatted, there's a lot more text per page.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and this is a 500 page. Like, I feel like one of the things that was welcoming about 5e is that it was so easy to get into. That included everything from like just the fact that like you just need a player's handbook and it's half the size of this, but also when you open it, you get like this. It welcomes you with like easier, like the formatting just makes it a lot more welcoming than what this does, right?
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot of artwork. There's a lot of presentation.
There's a lot of spacing between line. Even like the line height is like slightly different. Like you can tell it's like a lot of like.
Yeah.
Hey, look, we're a friendly version of Dungeons and Dragons, which is great.
I think even the font size is a bit bigger, just like a tad bit. You know, like
could be.
like if you were to compare the two, so like that way it's not like you open it and it's like just a wall of text. But but this book, I mean, just give you an idea. The weapons page. Okay, so weapons in 5e is one page, like it's half a page.
Yeah.
The weapons in Starfinder start at page 173 and end at 180. Now, granted, there is a full spread of artwork in between that, where two pages like, oh, this is what these guns look like because it's the future, so armed combat is a huge emphasis.
Right.
Still,
you're not gonna be.
That's a lot.
Yeah, but before we get too crazy, far ahead of ourselves, Andrew, let's rewind it a little bit and just talk about what we know and what our experience is up to this point with Starfinder.
Absolutely zero.
Same.
this was what's it? I think this all started because I was like, man, I really want to have like D&D in space. This was years back.
Yeah.
I was like, man, I really want to have D&D in space. This was way before Spelljammer was even like a fart of a thought in the 5e community. Just kidding. It was always there.
From the beginning.
And you were like, there is Starfinder, right? I'm like, what? And you're like, yeah, it's like Pathfinder, but in space. And I showed Teresa that, and she's like, no, we are not getting into another. Oh no, never mind. Here we are. so
too late.
So she bought me the Starfinder core rule book.
I like how she always like, no, you're not gonna get into it, and then she like encouraged you to get into it.
Yeah, and then she's like, okay, here, I'll buy this for you so you can shut up about it.
Let me live my life.
Yeah, and so I picked this up and I started reading it, and whoa. There's so much to take in. Even after like years of reading this book, I'm still learning new stuff from it.
By the way, welcome, Lancer. He says, "Hey guys, good to see you all talking about Starfinder."
It is such like a niche little darling of the TTRPG community because if you look at the D&D subreddit versus like the Starfinder subreddit, like the D&D subreddit has like 5 million viewers, but the Starfinder subreddit's like 150,000. Like it's just like, oh,
yeah.
You know?
Well, but to be fair, that's kind of how it is for most table RPGs out there.
Mm-hmm.
Like D&D really is like the most like popular one.
Oh yeah, far. It's massive.
However, I think most impressive about Lancer here is the fact that we have a viewer at the beginning of the episode
that knew what Starfinder was. So what a unicorn you are, Lancer. We're glad to have you.
It says, Yeah, he says 5e is a monster compared to any tabletop RPG. Yeah, 100%. Even because I know Pathfinder's pretty big too in common, but Starfinder, even within that, is like not as popular. But like Pathfinder compared to D&D is even. The gap is just.
I mean, it's just like 5e is like the Beatles of tabletop RPG. It's just like it's so massive, and everyone, you know, it's so big. Like honestly, the best gaming comparison is like it's Elden Ring to all the previous FromSoft games, because like everyone's into it now, you know, but nobody has understood kind of where it came from. And so when you go back, you're like, oh no, it was like this. Oh yeah, it was like this. And
You're welcome.
Guess what? People like it like that. That's the scary part. I want my clunky Demon Souls upgrade material.
Yeah, no. So like, I think like my experience with Starfinder is also around the same too as you. Like I the only reason I knew about it was because at the time I was working at Cool Stuff. So like I was being exposed to like all these crazy tabletop RPGs. Right. Yeah. Pathfinder, obviously, then the next one right next to Dungeons and Dragons, just because they get the most like releases and minis and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
But then Starfinder, well, it came along, and it was funny because around the time I was like taking pictures of their miniatures and scanning some of the artwork and making ads for it. You texted me. You're like, "Hey man, you know, let's." I think you were still with your Western at the time. And then that kind of led into like the sci-fi, like futuristic space stuff.
The Western's never going away. Just so you know, until they come out with like a dedicated, like actual tabletop RPG that's not Deadlands. Like the Western's never going away. So
yeah. It's like that's how I knew about Starfinder. I kind of like sent it your way. By the way, Neurolancer says that he plays in DM's 5e, Pathfinder 2 2nd edition, and Starfinder. And then he says that he loves DM 5e, but he loves to play the other two because it's the crunch.
I don't understand how you have the mental capacity for that, but more power.
We can barely handle one.
More power to you, Neurolancer. I mean, I could barely contain all the rules for 5e in my in my smooth brain.
Yeah, he only DMs 5e. He plays the other two.
Oh, okay. But still, that's a lot.
Yeah. He likes the crunch, and like just getting into this book, I was like, yes, the crunch is here for sure.
Oh, it's nice and gritty.
Yeah, and I think for me, it's a bigger bigger step too, because like you at least remember 3.5.
Oh yeah, this
which
bringing back so like waves of nostalgia for 3.5, where it's like oh, fortitude saves are a thing again.
Right, and then like because for my understanding, Pathfinder came along around the time of 4th edition, because people were like, this is trash, I just want 3.5, and then Pathfinder was like, hey, check it out. Well, I see where the story is, like the history is there.
If I remember correctly, Pathfinder came out because people were like, I like 3.5, but I want more math.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and so for me, it's even more of a culture shock, for lack of a better word, because I'm going from like 5e, which is the system I understand the most, and like I played, you know, or kind of IDM Cthulhu, Call of Cthulhu, and Cyberpunk Red, but even those systems are a bit more straightforward.
Yeah,
right. They're not as crunchy as this, and then so like I'm starting to dive into Starfinder, and I'm like, my brain needs a break. This is the SATs.
Call of Cthulhu looks intimidating, but it's actually very easy to understand. Once it clicks, it stays. Whereas Starfinder, you have to like constantly like keep your brain sharp.
Yeah. And I like it because like, dude, I get it. I get what you were saying about like customizability.
Customization.
It's too early. Customization. It's too early for me because like there's so many options for every. Like this book is a chunker for a reason.
I mean, it's like I was honestly thinking like maybe like when we get into classes, I want to go further into detail on it. But like I was thinking, Envoy was probably not a good choice as the first class. But I'm like, it only gets more complicated from there. Because then the next one you have is the mechanic, where it's like, oh, you're the mechanic. Okay, what's your AI going to be? Oh, it's a drone. Okay, well here's the drone stats. Oh, and the drone levels up, so it gets these features. So you're like,
and like each class has like pages and pages of like everything, and I'm just like,
I think the simplest one is a soldier, which is just a fighter, and that's just, you know what,
I'll take it. I'll start with that. Everybody will be soldiers in the first game of
you
Starfinder.
kill things real fucking good with the soldier, because the soldier does the classic Pathfinder / 3.5e thing where every other level you get a feat. That's what.
Oh man.
Because in these like old school rules, like feats were not like superhuman like skills. Feats were how you build your subclass,
Right.
essentially.
Right.
So yeah, no, every other thing you get something a little bit different. And that, so instead of, I mean, I guess there are kind of subclasses in this game, like if we were to draw a comparison, but really there's a lot more customization for character builds in this game, like a lot more than you would in like 5e or something like that. And which I appreciate, so long as you're good at keeping track of that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of note taking, especially on the player side, which is like, I want to play this game, I don't really want to run it.
Yeah. No, I hear you. Like I was going through it. Like I said earlier, like I get it. Like I get it. It's cool. Like I really enjoy the fact that it's kind of like we talked about it with 5e, where we wanted more hard rules on things.
Yes.
That you can do instead of just kind of like that, but it's here. It's here. Like it's like this is all the things you can do.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
I mean, this would be something that if we were to run it on like Roll20, like if I were to run it on Roll20, I would need to have the GM screen here, regardless if it's online or not, because I need that quick reference of rules.
Yeah,
you know. Because...
Nearness says that he loves the customization. The entire team can be the same class, but all be so different. Yes,
completely different thing.
Yes,
yeah.
I noticed. Because. Yeah, I was gonna say I was going through it, and it has like the themes for each one of them, and I was like, "Oh, this is so fucking cool!" Like, yes, it's the same class, but it's so different.
Yeah, you can have 5 operatives, and none of them will probably do the same thing, you know, in combat, and it's amazing. I love it. Okay, you want to get into
it? Yeah. Let me read the last comment here. It says, in Starfinder, which is different from Pathfinder 1e and 5e, is that you have to build a team in your character. You need someone who can be a mechanic, someone who can be the face, someone who can fly the ship, and so on. Right. Yeah. There's each different player has like more weight to their specialization.
There is a strong emphasis on balance in this game, where it's not like in 5e, where, because I know we just said you can have 5 people of the same class, and granted, those 5 people of the same class will excel in one thing and then fail utterly in the other. Where it's, I mean, because unlike 5e, I think there's only 2 classes in this game that can use magic, like hard use magic. Everything else, it's like physical or like extraordinary abilities or something like that.
Yeah.
But spells,
which I love, by the way.
Spells relegated to 2 classes. That's it. Boom, you got them. So
yeah. All right, so we're gonna start with the setting, the lore. Ooh.
All right.
Of 5e. But before we get to that, I just want to like give props to the designers of the book, because the art is so freaking cool, dude.
Some of it is, some of it's not so
great. Are you
great.
serious? I love all of it. Even like the weird looking goblin with a space helmet is so funny. It's like a Pathfinder. It's literally a Pathfinder goblin with a space helmet.
I love the picture for, if you look at the timeline under 36 AG, it's a dwarf with like a cyber axe versus a Vesk with what looks like a fire Dashko, and I'm like, okay, that's cool. You got me there.
Yeah, I will say that like the art styles is like slightly different. It's not as cohesive as the book for 5e.
Yeah,
but I can only give that to the fact that wizards have so much freaking money.
Yeah, I mean, you can't. You're not going to be able to contend against such a powerhouse like Wizards of the Coast. So I mean, it's just there was some artwork where I'm like, the face looks a little, but I'm like, okay, these are the smaller guys, so that's okay.
Right. All right, Andrew.
Yes.
Let's get to it.
Okay.
The first thing that happens in the setting is the gap.
The gap. Okay, so like I said before, the Starfinder setting, if you were to use it, takes place in the current year 317 AG, which AG stands for after gap, I believe. So what is The Gap. Well, do you know what the Gap is?
Yes, it is a section of history that, out of nowhere, nobody can remember. Everything is jumbled, and like people think that they're starting to like narrow down to it, and they start getting misinformation, and just kind of like to the point of like they kind of like describe it a little bit of people look at a picture and pictures like blurred and like like missing or and like it's weird. So, what was it, like a millennia?
It was like a while. I want to say it was like 1,000 years or so. Well, it was essentially people like dropped off in Pathfinder, and it was like Lord of the Rings fantasy, and then they woke up into like the sci-fi world. And
well, not as drastic, but yes, like it was essentially like it's like thousands of years of just can't remember anything about it, to the point that like everybody at one point just kind of woke up with their memory gone, which caused chaos and confusion, and like people are, I'm assuming there were like moments where like in the middle of like a battle and a war, and like, oh shit, what am I doing here? And they could remember a lot of things, like where they come from, their life, partners, like whatever, like normal things.
But
if you ask like
details, it gets blurry. It gets murky.
It's like, imagine if like all of like World War One to World War Two, none of that happened. Or like you can't remember like the whole. It's like literally the Dark Ages. You can't nothing. We don't know what any of that happened.
Like just imagine it's the year 1022, and then just everything is just what, and we don't know where computers came from. We don't know who invented the first like TV. We don't like any of this. And if we try to look back on it, like all the videos get scrambled, all the photos get blurry and stuff like that. But the biggest thing is that the equivalent of Earth in this setting, Galarian, if I'm pronouncing that right,
Galarian
is gone. It's just it disappeared out of existence, and it's instead replaced by Absalon Station, which is now
it's not replaced. Absalon Station used to orbit that planet.
Well, I mean,
so it's sitting there, like.
I mean, for location wise, yes. Right. Yeah, and so Absalon Station is there, which, anyways, and anybody trying to contact Golarian, like either through deities or magic or whatever, they all get cut off, and they all get the same answer from no matter what kind of figure. If it's it even says if it's demonic or deities, they all get the same answer. Golarian is safe. There's nothing wrong with it. It just cannot be reached by magic or technology. So it's just.
And also, I love the fact that this gap also includes the gods. It's not just like the mortals, normal people. It was the gods. Everybody.
Nobody knows what happened. It is literally just a 1,000-year mind blank on a cosmic scale.
Which I love. Like, if you're ever thinking of like, if you're writing a story, it's like, how do I justify this? That's the ultimate DM move.
It's such a actually genius way to justify. You know what, space? You know that way we don't have like a 7,000 page like lore book on how we got here. Just no, everyone just woke up and there's spaceships now.
Check it.
So then 3 years later, the god Triune comes into being, revealing themselves. And I think what's interesting is that Triune is a new god, but it's created not out of like full deities, but out of like these people that ascended into godhood in one way or another. And because of that, they manifested into a three-pronged god, essentially. Which I think Triune is like the god of technology or something now.
It's Cassandali, the god of the androids, and Bright, clockwork goddess, is Triune.
So it's these three people that like essentially level 20 characters that became demigods, and then they just like formed together, and it said that they shared and comprehended information with each other at such a speed that not even the gods themselves can stop it. And it was just like in like a nanosecond, like these beings just understood, comprehended.
Literally the big bang of intellect.
Yeah, just smash these demigods together. You got Triune, and and then Triune delivers the secrets to drift travel to everywhere. Like now everything has drift, like everybody has drift travel, and it's interesting because like if I remember correctly, I think it said that like the secrets to drift travel were always there, but it's just like Triune like made it known to people like, oh, this is what it means now. And it's just like, like this random equation that was like written on a college like whiteboard. Like, why is this here? And then the college professor's like, oh shit, it's like faster than light travel.
Goodwill Hunting, yeah.
Yeah, and it was like discovered like etched in like caves and stuff like that. Like it's like weird ways of delivery. But do you want to tell the good people what drift travel is?
Yes, so drift travel is I wrote it down here. It's a hyperspace dimension, and essentially just allows people to just travel faster than the speed of light and just warp places.
Mm-hmm.
And this technology is allowed people to build chips and engines that could just utilize it. Again, almost simultaneously all around the universe.
Yeah, and I think it describes that the drift isn't like an actual place. Like you dip into there, like and then you pop out.
You're right.
But unlike Warhammer 40K, you don't deal with like demons of chaos or some crap, unless you so choose. You can do that.
That's the first thing that came to mind. I was like, oh, okay, so literally just Warhammer, but nice.
But without using corpse for fuel and dealing with like Slanesh and crap like that, unless you so choose. Well, I mean,
it's open for anybody to play with.
Because I mean, it does talk about like the outer gods and stuff like that. Like Nyarlathotep is a deity that's listed there. So you know what? Fuck it. Just throw it everywhere. Why not? Because it's space. What's gonna stop you? But like I said, if you so choose. And so because of that, because this drift travel, it's faster than light travel. That's essentially what it is. So now these people are able to and that's the important part. They are able to cheaply build fast and light travel. Yeah. So now it becomes like pretty much accessible to anybody that anybody that wants to. So now these planets that are surrounding Absalom Station are accessible, and so and they're not entirely friendly. One of them is literally just a planet of undead for whatever reason. It's just like a planet of like liches and zombies and necromancers and stuff like that.
I have a list here if you want to go through them real quick.
Yeah, please do. Let's do it.
So the first one is the sun.
Yeah.
Like I was like, oh, okay, you can visit the sun. All right, cool.
Yeah, and that's so cool because there are people that worship the sun, and they're like, let's fly into the sun.
Yeah, no, well, so that's the weird thing is like after the gap, people realized that there were like these bubble cities just in the sun,
and they're just like, oh, it's meant to be, but the bubble cities were abandoned.
Yeah.
So what built them? What abandoned them? We don't know.
But they were just still there in orbit.
Yeah.
Perfectly fine. No, like they don't get crushed by the gravity. They don't get burned by the insane temperatures.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, when you're flying in, it's like into the cities, like the sun opens up to let you pass through.
Yeah.
Like what makes that? And I love how these people are just like, okay, let's worship the sun. Yeah.
I mean, it would make sense that the people that lived in the sun would be the most religiously fanatic because you would have to be that disconnected from reality to approach a fiery giant and be like, "Yep, this is my home."
But this is me now.
but what's really interesting is because this is still Pathfinder in space. Mm-hmm. The sun is a direct connection to the plane of fire.
Oh yeah. It does mention that it like salamanders, like what, firemanders or whatever the fuck they're called, like a bunch of like different creatures based on the fire elements
and
come out of them.
And that like solar flares and stuff like that. Like the justification is that it's just parts of the plane of fire just popping out real quick. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, yeah, naturally, that's so cool. I love it.
But now we have cities, bubbles. Orbiting the damn sun. Like, okay, cool.
And why? I don't know. Because God wills it so. That's why.
Because of magic. Because of science.
A little bit of both, maybe.
Then we have Abalon,
Mm-hmm.
which was described that it was the first one to be colonized.
Yes.
Or it was colonized by what they call the first ones, which is this ancient uh, alien people that just happened to be here. But it was obviously, because it's so close to the sun, it's so hostile, like environmentally wise, that they built these machines to like mine and like make the and like get the planet, the resources from the planet and whatnot. Well, the old ones disappeared. Why? Who knows?
Who knows?
So now the planet is just
because gap.
machinery. Because gap.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the planet is just machinery now, and their machineries are divided into essentially machines that still believe the old ones are coming back, so they have to get the planet ready by hoarding all the resources and getting everything up to standards, so they come and rescue them, whatever that may look like. And then the other ones who are just like, no, nobody's coming. We're just gonna have to like deal with this on our own. So it's kind of fun to see like even machinery is conflicting with themselves.
Yeah, I mean it's weird because you do have it does describe that some machines do have personalities. Like later on when you're like building a ship, which is a thing, you can build a ship. Like it will say like depending on how expensive your computer is, it will have a personality. Like it will just
Which
grow
reminds me of
one.
Yeah, it just reminds me of that Futurama episode.
Which one?
The one that they put a it's like a female voice on it, but then it has the personality that falls in love with Bender.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Then we have Castrovel, the second one from the sun, which is a mostly swampy, but very rich planet.
It's Florida,
however,
the planet.
Yeah, it's Florida, the planet. However, it's mostly controlled by when the year that is happening right now, it's mostly controlled by corporations as they mine resources.
When I was sorry, just a quick side note. When I was reading about corporations, it was kind of disheartening to see that the largest corporation was also like a religious faction. I'm like, oh, that hits a little too close to home. Okay, anyways, go on.
All right, that's pretty much it for that one. There's a lot of resources. There's only like one not city, one, because they don't have countries. It's just big cities that could extend up to the corporations. But other than that, it's mostly just a resource heavy planet.
Yeah. Castrovel is known as just this uninhabitable like jungle. Yeah. So I mean, if you were gonna have like a crash landing, like weird Star Trek thing, this would be the place where where you just have like the 4-winged dragons and shit like that.
Yes.
So
then we have the smallest of them all, but the most interesting one, which is Absalon Station. For reasons that we mentioned before, the planet that was there before, Golarion, disappeared. So it's just Absalon Station, which became to be the center of humanity, the hub of the whole system. When it came to trading and economics and everything else.
But it only has a diameter of 5 miles, so it's tiny.
Yeah,
it's
tiny.
Yeah.
Also, it contains the Starstone,
which means that if you have a drift engine, it could be like, oh, I want to go back to Absalon Station. It's just like, boom, it like cuts down drift travel by like I think like half or something like that, or it's like relegated to like 1d3 days or something.
Yeah, but the crazy part about this is that not even the gods of technology know how or why the Starstone is there and how it operates.
Gap. A lot of stuff can be explained. Why is there a gap? That's why. Yeah, no, I mean, yes. I really do like the fact that it's just like, where did Absalom Station come from? Like, there had to have been some sort of knowledge, like, hey, we need to get these people off of Golarion, but we also need to like have it be the central nexus of drift travel. Well, what happened? Gap.
Gap.
Yeah, just
gap. Pretty
happened. Much. But this is where you will find a mix of all the races. Like this is going to be your Sword Coast essentially.
This is the New York of the universe.
Yeah, exactly. Complete with a bunch of like dwarves, be like, yeah, walk it in.
And I mean, obviously the main reason why is the center of like interstellar travel is because of the Starstone. Like people can get there instantly, cheaply, and like essentially like you run out of fuel, you're in an emergency, Starstone.
Yep. Just
Goes
okay.
back
We
into civilization.
pop back to the Star Zone. I mean, this is your central hub. This is where
Yeah.
you know, this is where you go to trade for quests and shit.
Yeah.
So
Then we have Akiton or Akiton, whatever.
Akidon.
This is the Akiton. This is the orange planet, the Mars of this universe.
I like.
And what I wrote down, what I wrote down here is just it's dying. Essentially, it's Route 66.
Yeah.
But in space.
I like the fact that it had to distinguish that a day in Akiton is 24 hours and 40 minutes.
40 minutes.
It can't.
Slight
No, not this 24 hours crap. It's 24 hours and 40 minutes.
And 40 minutes. Yeah. So this planet used to be the center of the solar system, or this system.
Mm-hmm.
However, it used to be because that's where most of the resources for interstellar travel before the drift was held. So before the drift, people would just copy, like this was where all the fuel was coming from for people to be able to go from planet to planet.
Right.
So that's why it was the center of this solar system. Mm-hmm. However, after the drift, essentially a big old highway was built that goes from the east to the west of the United States. So Akiton who?
Yeah,
and essentially it's just a desert planet. It's been dying. It's just like it literally describes it like there's like hubs of like old like fueling systems like in the desert.
Oh man,
like,
is this place like what's that little town in the first Cars movie, like Motor Springs?
Yeah. Yeah, essentially.
Where it's like, somebody please come by the gift shop. We haven't moved this merchandise in 20 years.
That's essentially what it became.
Man,
yeah.
you go to Akiton and like all the stuff on the windows is like bleached by the sun because it hasn't been moved in so long. Oh, it's so depressing. I don't want to go to Akiton.
Hey, but if you ever want your Star Wars beginnings of desert planet with 2 suns or whatever, that's your planet.
Oh yeah, just some shithole planet where it's like we got to get off this rock. That would be the place.
That would be it.
I would imagine a lot of adventurers probably come from Akiton, where it's just like, I need to leave.
They're just tired of the sand. I hate sand.
I don't want to be.
That'd be my backstory. I hate sand.
Oh my god, that would actually be a really good like. Oh, I'm a fuel farmer in a drift drift market.
That's pretty funny.
Oh man.
And then we move to excuse me. Verses or versus? Verses?
I would imagine it's probably pronounced verses.
Verses, yes.
Mm-hmm.
This is interesting because it's a tidally locked planet.
Yep.
Meaning that it doesn't have a rotation. So one side of the planet is being burnt down by the sun. The other side of the planet is pitch black and cold as fuck.
It's the 5th planet from the sun, so I don't imagine it's burning.
Well, no, it describes it. No, well, yeah, okay, so it's not Venus, but it's pretty hot.
Yeah. It has an artwork of the city, and it's not on fire. So
fair, but to be fair, like most sentient beings live in the ring in between, right? So where it's like not too hot, not too cold.
Yeah.
And there's like apparently there's a big old like bullet train that goes around the whole planet. So it's pretty neat.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
Yeah. Then we have not a planet, but another kind of like station, which is Idari, which was essentially a colonization ship that just declared itself a planet. It's like, fuck it, we're a planet now.
Yeah, I mean, it tried to get to, what was the planet it tried to get to? I think I actually tried to get to Akiton, and it's just like, oh, there's way too many people here. Let's just boot back into orbit, and we're just our own space now. I mean, we're our own planet.
This is us now.
Yeah,
we're making our own planet with blackjack and hookers.
I do like the fact that it describes how it's like, in order to maintain itself, it eats like the corpses and stuff like that.
Oh.
Like when someone dies, it like there's no like, oh, do you get a choice of burial? No. You will be ground down for components because we have to maintain like we're not as fancy as Absalon Station. We have to have, we have to have a body count in here.
Neuralanta says Space Vegas. Yes, Space Vegas. You're right.
I
For
mean, right down to the point where like there's probably drug pushers so people can die. You know?
Yeah. Then we moved to
Diaspora.
the Diaspora, which was 2 planets that used to orbit. We'll come around to why they did this happen, but it was 2 planets that were destroyed, and then essentially the asteroid belt was formed for this solar system. Not really like a planet. It's just, are you a pirate? Are you a smuggler? Are you trying to hide from the law? Ta-da!
This is what's that like collection of islands like off the coast of like Asia. Like this is it. Like this, it's like not one place. It's just boop, 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 you know.
The archipelagos.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
I don't.
That sounds smart enough. Let's go with that. Then we have Andrew's planet, which is Eox.
Eox, the planet of the dead.
I put that this was a fail. Or the way it is now is a failed world destroyer.
Yeah. I mean,
because like,
people at Akaton look at Eox and like, that's the future.
So these guys were just like an advanced race of, technologically or whatever. They wanted to be superior to everybody else. So what do? They built a big ass weapon on their planet to kill the 2 planets. I forgot their names, but the ones that made the asteroid belts.
It was Damiar or Damiar and Iovo.
Yeah. So these guys are like, fuck you. Destroys his 2 planets, and in the process destroys themselves in a way like the it doesn't backfire, but it just kind of like overheats, whatever.
Yeah,
boom,
there's
the whole
like
atmosphere. The whole atmosphere is combust on fire, destroying everything around it. So they go underground, and the planet become very toxic, very hostile to everybody that's there. So what do? They turn into necromancy.
They have no other choice. They're like, we have to live beyond death for this because the blowback of our planet killer. Like, who would have thought?
There's a little hole in the planet.
Who would have thought that our planet killer would kill our planet? We weren't aware.
Nobody saw that coming.
Man, I did not think this went through.
It
was a calculated.
The last words of whoever was in charge.
Yeah, it was a calculated risk, but man, I'm bad at math. Yeah. So this became a planet of necromancers, and because fantasy settings, it's obviously the evil planet because it's a planet full of fucking Skeletors. And it's just
then we have
it's just like people's like, we don't go to Eox.
They make a big like
they whoop
turn around.
They would rather go all the way around the belt than just go through Eox.
Then the next planet is the one that I found the most interesting, which was Triaxis. It's an extreme orbit around the sun, which makes it extreme seasons. Yeah. So it's 317 years of winter and 317 years of summer.
Yep.
Or a standard Florida summer.
I mean, it's May, and yesterday was like 93 degrees with like 80% humidity, and like I stepped outside for like 12 seconds to bring in the trash can. I was like covered in sweat when I came back inside. So yeah, I kind of understand where Triaxis is coming from.
Yeah. So like all of this whole planet is just. Oh, the reason why it's so extreme is because it goes really close to the sun. So it's like a huge orbit, and it goes really, really narrow near the sun.
And
so
like
it's very interesting
because around. It has like an oval orbit.
Right. And you have people who, like, generations that become like this. They describe it as like this big fur and like, accustomed to winter to survive. And then they shed that into like smooth skin, scaly to like survive the extreme heats.
Thin-blooded.
And I can only imagine
like that.
I can only imagine like the whole planet. It's not just the people, obviously. Like the whole planet, just every 317 years, just changes completely drastically.
You know what, Westeros, eat your heart out. This is the true winter is coming, because for the next 4 generations, our people will know what winter is. Like, can you imagine anyone that's native there, how like messed up your like evolution would be? Where it's like 300 years, like developing like skin that can deal with heat and stuff like that, and like your blood thinning and whatnot, and then for the next 300 years, like your children's children will have to like bulk up and like deal like grow fat pockets to deal with like the extreme cold. I mean, it's just, I love it. It's great.
Yeah, it's great. It's so interesting. Also, Neuromancer says there's a country in Galorian called Geb, which is full of undead ruled by a very powerful lich called Geb. Eox is just space Geb.
I mean, essentially. I mean, like, Eox is like, oh, I need a threat to the rest of the solar system. All right, well, let's dig into Eox so we can grab something
there. Then we have Liavara, which I put is just the Australia of planets. It's just
was it a penal colony?
no, it's just very hostile.
Oh,
so
okay.
it's like it's a gas. It's not a gas giant per se, but it's like a very gassy planet. And like there's like a little things floating around, but essentially what it is like the creatures the outer orbit are not as dangerous as the ones closer. Like as you keep going down, you just keep encountering more and more dangerous creatures and monsters,
right?
As you get
there. I like the fact that it says gravity ×1 at the surface, quote unquote. So is
good luck finding it.
So is this like Cloud City? Is that what this is?
Yeah, I can see that. Yep,
complete with Billy D. Williams. Oh man, there needs to be a Billy D. Williams character in this setting.
There is now. Why not?
Fuck it. Why not? Just Han Solo, my friend. Welcome to class.
Yes. The next one is Bretheda. Bethesda, the Bethesda planet. It's almost incomplete and has a lot of bugs.
It has released Skyrim for the past 20,000 years.
It does have a lot of bugs. So this is technically the most peaceful of all of them. It is essentially a biotechnology hive mind.
Yes,
with a lot of bugs. And the cool thing about it is that they are evolved to such a way that like if they're ever threatened, they can evolve in seconds to defend themselves.
Which is
so like you shoot them with acid, the first one goes down, the second one already has skin that is anti-acid.
Yep. Which I mean, that would be so cool as a setting, just like keep you on your toes. Like the same trick don't work twice.
Yep. Then we have Apostate, the messenger. This is the Drow planet. This is where Drows are.
Yeah, I know. This is Underdark with the planet.
Yeah. The thing is that nobody kind of knows where it came from, right? And it seems that there's a bunch of technology within the planet and vaults and and things that like there's like advanced technology, but nobody can get to it. And Drows were like, "Yo, this is really far away from the sun, so
we don't like the sun." So I mean, we did try that one planet where it's like 300 years of winter, and that was cool. But then the next 300 years were just like, nah.
Essentially. But yeah, and then the last one, but not least, Octurne, which is I like how it describes that like through many years people have tracked Octurne in the sky, and they always got an ominous presence from it.
Which is like I don't like this.
I don't trust that planet in particular.
Yeah, there's something where like if you look at it through the telescope, you get the willies, and it's just like I don't know why.
Well, it could be an egg of an old one, so who knows?
Eox, did you have something to do with this?
It was Eox's backup plan.
I mean, I love the idea that's like this planet. It's not a planet. Maybe they could.
Yeah,
there might be something in it.
The surface is very hostile. Like it looks like an egg. Like what is happening right now? The cool thing is that it's always different to anybody who sees this. Like it's never the same.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like somebody like calculates the orbit is whatever. Somebody calculates a different orbit, but like,
Yeah,
they're all correct and not correct at the same time.
It even says the diameter varies. Like, how the fuck does a planet diameter just like does it have water retention problems? Is that what
Maybe.
This planet needs hydrochlorothiazide. You need to lay off the sodium.
Oh man! So yes, those are the planets in this system.
Yeah, this would be the planet where it's like, I want like cosmic horror. Boom, just throw them on Octurne, baby.
yeah. The whole adventure takes place on the eyeball of whatever creatures inside that. You look at the ground and you see like it's a main brain, and under it it's a big eye looking at you.
Oh, there's actually an analog horror series where it's just like that planet that's on the outskirts of our solar system. It's not a planet, it's a thing, and we're just dealing with the ramifications of it. Anyways,
that's terrifying.
It is terrifying.
Yeah, and then after that, like it just gives you like a bunch of like things about like the rest of the universe and how to like kind of like keep expanding on it.
Yeah. This is all essentially like, hey, if you want to have something that's not these planets and you just want to like travel outside the solar system, here's some random planets we threw in there.
Yep. So the next section that we have here, because for as much as we would like to have a 5-hour-long episode of Starfinder,
why not?
No, Andrew, nobody's gonna listen to a fight. No. I'm gonna text Theresa to come in with a water bottle.
No, not the computer. Everything glitches.
Yeah, the next session is actually we're gonna talk about what's different and what's alike, what's similar to D&D 5e. Because honestly, for all of us, especially specifically for me, I think that's the easiest way to kind of like introduce someone to Starfinder.
What is actually interesting, and I told you this before on our private chat, but it's like what's actually interesting is that the things that might be new to 5e players are familiar to 3.5 players. Like, Howard, Fortitude and Will say you're coming back, my friend. So
yes. All right. So number one, the most familiar thing here is it is still a D20 system.
Yes. Yeah. Straight up.
So that's always a plus. It's very, very similar, like with the way that, like, you know, a 10 is medium, anything below that is bad, everything above that is, so nothing's gonna change there. We're not going to like a solid D10 or anything like that, and everything's D10. It's like, no, it's very, very similar.
No, I mean, this is Pathfinder in space after all, so yeah, we're going to make sure you have your collection of 6 dice because you're going to need them.
Yeah. Then we have combat flow, which is also very familiar.
Yep.
And I say familiar because there's a couple of things that are obviously slightly different, but the thought process behind all of it is very, very, very similar.
I mean, there's really not that much difference. There is a surprise round. It's just called flat-footed in this. That's it. I mean, but unless we're getting into like vehicular or spaceship combat, which are our dedicated rules for spaceship combat, combat's essentially the same. Just combat started, roll initiative. All right, let's do this.
Yeah. What is the terminology they have? Because it just kind of flew out of my head. It's standard action, move, there's swift action.
Yeah, there's move. No, there's move, standard action, full action, and then swift action. Because
so it's full action, which is the biggest one. This is your shooting and stabbing.
Yeah.
Then you have move, which
is move,
and then you have your swift action, which is what we call free actions in 5e.
Yeah. Or bonus actions.
Or bonus actions. Yeah.
Yeah. But so in combat, just give a basic rundown. Like, let's say we're already in the midst of combat. We're like in a bar fight, cyber bar fight. So if you want to like get away from your enemy, you would have to do a move action and a standard action. If you are just locked in combat and you just want to keep hitting them, you can do a full action, because if you dedicate combat to full action, you can actually attack twice. Level 1, you can attack twice, but you can't move. You have to stay there. But like you said, bonus actions are just swift actions essentially. I mean, it's a bit more granular than that, but if we really had to draw a quick comparison, that's just
then we have
just to say combat is more dedicated in this one Far more
Because- and
dedicated.
Well, and it comes down to like, and I feel like a lot of these things kind of like translate to just rules that we have as we play D&D, but here they're actually written down.
Yeah. But I mean,
Shooting or stabbing is a standard action. Full action means you cannot do another than the action. See, so that's what I was.
yeah,
So there's standard action, move, and then swift action.
yeah.
Yeah. The terminology, there's specific terminology for different things. Thank you, Nero Lancer.
Yeah, I mean, this is a good, like, 5e is a good jumping off point for this. But just know that if you are going to go from 5e to this, it is more granular. So you are going to have to, learn about it. You can't just immediately go like for our group, because we are all 5e savvy. We would probably have to have just a basic, even before session 0 or maybe during session 0, just teach.
Or you can be like me and just bombard the group with a bunch of videos about Call of Cthulhu.
Yeah, and then no one's gonna read or no one's gonna watch it.
Except for me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I watched it too, and that guy that rolls R's that aren't there. So
yeah. I mean, it's again, I think in there's a lot of. In 5e, it's very much like, I don't know this rule. It's fine, whatever. Roll. I make the call. But for this one, more than likely, there's gonna be an actual written part that will tell you exactly what to do.
Yep. You will have to keep combat flow in mind. Have a quick reference.
Let's lose. Yeah, for sure. Then a couple of things are familiar. Ability checks, pretty similar.
Same thing.
Saving throws. Pretty similar.
Yep.
And then one thing I love that made me giggle is attack of opportunities, not opportunity attacks.
It used to be attacks of opportunity. I don't know why they changed the verbiage.
Okay, because it's a big thing in our group. We're like, which one is it? But here it's written as attacks of opportunity.
Attacks of opportunity. New episodes every other Wednesday.
But the cool thing about this one though that I found interesting was that in this one, if your action is not paying attention to that person. If you're gonna do a range attack to somebody else across the room, you spark an opportunity of attack. Damn it, an attack of opportunity. Which makes sense because if I'm aiming at somebody who's across from me and you're right next to me, you get to slap me.
Yeah, because why not? Because you're not focused on them. You're not locked on. Which I love because it's no, there are higher stakes in combat now, and we will get into it. Combat can be brutal in this game. Yeah. So.
And then casting spells and abilities. Abilities gets a little bit of an expansion there, but
abilities gets a huge expansion.
Yeah. but for the most part, everything of those things are kind of similar to 5e. All right, Andrew. Now you take us to the what's new.
What's new? Okay, so even before we get into classes, I want to actually. Well, no, we never mind. We can get into that when we go to build a character. But there's all new classes in this game. That your paladins, your druids, your clerics, get the fuck out. There ain't no that's nerd crap. We ain't doing nerd stuff. Instead, we have
we're the cool kids now.
Yeah. Instead, we have classes like envoys, mechanics, mystics, soldiers. Operatives, soldiers,
Solarians, and technomancers.
Yeah, and they're
technomancers. It's just Daft Punk, right?
But I mean, but yeah, no. Your bards are gone. Your barbarians are gone. Yeah. There are some comparisons you can draw between these classes in order to help people slide into that role a bit better. But it's not an exact 1-to-1. You're probably your closest thing is that your mystic is going to be a cleric essentially, and your technomancer is going to be a wizard. But even then, it diverges from there. Yeah. There's some big divergences. Do you want to get into the classes, or do you just kind of want to? What's up? I can't hear you.
Sorry. Sorry. Let's just go over what's new. We'll get into the classes.
Okay.
Once we start talking later on.
All right, and then there's 2 ACs in this game. There are 2,
which I found so cool.
I mean, why wouldn't it? They're yeah. I mean, it makes sense. So now there's kinetic AC, which is armor class that is against slashing, bludgeoning, just essentially analog damage. If I had to
analog damage,
yeah. And then there's energy AC, which is AC against fire, ice, lasers, yeah,
Yeah.
radiant damage and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So you can have your armor class will be two different things, and depending on what you're fighting and what you're equipped with, you might be better suited to dealing with something that deals elemental damage as opposed to something that just punches you real hard.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Exactly.
yeah, so I would imagine like spell classes, like spellcasting classes, would probably have a boost to certain EACs, whereas like your soldier would probably have a boost to KACs. I think it
Right.
even states outright that if you play as one of the races, you get a bonus to your KAC just because they are naturally hardy.
Yeah.
So ability scores, roll it rolling isn't the standard, although you can just kind of work that in. I don't know why you wouldn't, do the whole 46 drop the lowest. However, they strongly emphasize point buying,
Yeah.
and there is a system for standard arrays. There's not just one standard array though. There's three.
Yeah.
so if you want to have like a specialized like if you want to have something like, oh, I really want to dump points into charisma, okay, well you can pick the specialized stat. But if you want to have a more varied array, you can do that as well. And then there's one that's like even more like just kind of baseline, where I think like everything's like a 13 or a 12 or something like
Yeah.
that. And that's kind of like you can just build off of that, because in this game your stats can and probably will go much higher than they will in a
Yeah.
D&D game, because there
Yeah.
is no soft cap, or there is no cap for your stats. I mean, there is a table for like what it, like as an example, but when you're building a character, your stats can't go higher than 18. But after that, sky's the limit. You can have like a 30 in strength and stuff like
Yeah.
that, and you will probably need a 30 in strength when you're level, because we are talking crazy numbers for some of these
Yeah.
weapons later on.
Yeah. Well, I also want to point out that I like the way they walk you through setting your stats, because in D&D, like, they just kind of like, oh, roll 40 minus 1, but like, they do it kind of backwards. Here they make you like, okay, do your class first, do your race sex, or
Yep.
race first, whatever, class later, and then
Well, it's your
everybody gets
your
a
race,
10,
your background, then your class.
right, and then you everything's a 10. Sorry, my dog is loud.
That's right.
And it just logically it makes a lot more sense than what D&D does.
Yeah. I'm going to use this moment to go use the bathroom.
All right, we're gonna take a quick break. We'll be right back. That was quick, Andrew.
Sorry, like I said, the coffee. All right, so then another big thing that are we back on stream?
Yeah.
Okay, so then another big thing is that there is something called resolve points in this game, which resolve points is a lot. Resolve points is kind of the crux of a lot of mechanics in this, and what that is that depending on your class, you will have like, okay, so if you were the Solarian, which is kind of like the equivalent of like a paladin in this game, like I said, rough equivalent. Obviously, charisma would be your highest stat, because that would, that's where your attacks would come from. So if you were that, your resolve points would come from your charisma modifier. Whereas if you were a soldier, in strength or dexterity is your highest stat, then your resolve points would come from that modifier. And
Yeah,
what
and they can be used for a lot of different things in the game.
a lot of different things.
It's just a pool of points, yeah.
Yeah.
And it also involves your death saves.
Well, I mean, there are no death saves. There's just, dying in this game
So-
is pretty easy by comparison.
So Neurolancer says a fully decked out soldier can have an AC of 50 by level 15.
Yep. And that is something where you would need that AC of 50 because
Right.
some of these weapons have like a plus 30 to hit, and that's like I think we're like mid range there. Like some of these weapons are ridiculous.
Which, I mean, it makes sense, right? Like, because like we're going from sword and shields, which, they're sword and shields, to
Yeah.
bullets and lasers.
Yeah, I mean, like that like plus 15 or what have you, or like that plus 50 AC would help, like that would help you against like starship fire, which is a thing. You can have the guns of your starship just light up a
Mow
group.
down, yep.
Yeah. So anyways, but so your resolve points, they are used to like do like a short rest. Like that's your short rest equivalent. If you have resolve points, you can use that to recover health, which we will get into health later. I think health is like actually the next bullet point. But you can also use resolve to stabilize yourself if you drop to 0. Yep. Once you are stabilized, you can use another resolve point next round to bring yourself back up to 1 HP. I think you have to use like a quarter of your resolve points to bring yourself back up. A quarter of your total. However, if you have no resolve points, if you are not stabilized and you don't have any resolve points, you just die. Like that's it.
Yeah, because you lose 1 resolve point per round that you're down.
You start bleeding resolve points. Like you don't. There is no negative HP in this game, and there's no death saves. Your resolve points is your timer. But some classes, like the Mystic, can use resolve points to give a little bit of a boost to their spells. The Solarian can use resolve points to give a boost to their abilities. I think the Envoy can do that. Every class uses resolve points for something. So it describes that your resolve points is what gives your heroes their heroic oomph. Like this is like, okay, this is what gives them a little bit of extra spice to their classes. But like I said, you don't want to blow your resolve points too quickly, because if you drop in combat and you ain't got no resolve points, well, that's it.
Right.
So long. Bye.
Yeah.
If you drop to 0, you have 1 round for someone to stabilize you, then that's it. You're dead. So, good luck with that.
That's when you build a glass cannon.
Yeah. Anyways, so speaking of health, there are not only is there 2 ACs, there's 2 healths in this game. There's stamina.
More things to keep track of.
So we said it was crunchy. So there's stamina points and there's health points.
Now I know what that. Those little circles that appear in Roll20. Now I know what the third one's for.
Mm-hmm. This is what
in fact, you'll need a 4th one.
Oh yeah. God, I can't imagine running this on Roll20. You will have to have like the suite for like the add-on for Roll20 just to
you know what? I'll take the bullet. I'll run an adventure, and then go crazy.
Dead man walking.
and he'll say it was never the same after that.
Dead man walking. Actually, the starter adventure that they have on Paizo seems pretty basic. So it seems like a pretty good lean in to like get you started. Anyways, so there's stamina points, which are points that you can get back easily, but you're going to lose them easily as well. Like it describes that stamina is the first pool of HP that you start to lose when you start taking damage. And then after that, once all your once all your stamina points are drained, you start losing health points. And health points describes as like grievous wounds. Like these are wounds that outside of the use of magic will take days to heal. Like you have to dedicate yourself to building back up your health points. And everybody has everyone has like a kind of a static number of health points. Oh yeah, by the way, you also don't roll for health. like you don't roll for health and you don't roll for stamina. You just get, each class is like X number plus whatever your Constitution modifier is.
Right.
So you don't have to. So there's no worries about, oh, I rolled a 1 on a D8. Well, too bad.
Right.
Suck it up. No, you just, everyone gets. I think like
Also, my understanding is that hit points are like super low, right? It's like
hit points are
4.
hit points.
Like
Yeah, I think you start out with hit points are. I want to say, oh god, they're dictated by your race, and so depending on the race, I think like the highest hit point starting out with is 6. So, and that's going to be that plus your Constitution modifier, and the lowest is 2. I like the Vesk have like a hit point max of 6, and the Ahsoki, which we'll get into later, have a hit point max of 2. And then when you level up, you don't get a certain number. You only get hit points equal to your Constitution modifier.
right.
So your hit points are going to be smaller than your stamina points, but your stamina points you're going to get back easier. So,
Yep.
So unlike in 5e, when you do a short rest, the equivalent of a short rest in Starfinder, you spend 1 resolve point and you get all of your stamina points back. Just boom, just 10 minutes. Go outside, have a coffee break, and you're fine. You're healthy. But your health points, you need to rest. And it actually describes that the only way you can get your health points back fully without the use of magic is that you need 24 hours dedicated to healing yourself.
Gee.
Other than that, if you take a long rest or 8-hour rest, you only get as many health points back as per your Constitution modifier, I believe. Other than that, you would have to have like magic or like whatever the equivalents of like potions are in this game. Yeah, taking HP damage is bad news.
And also because
I love it.
Yeah. Also because we're living in the future, we also have vehicles more prominent, and not just vehicles, but also starships.
Starships. There's like
I was flipping through the books. I'm like, oh, this is really cool. They have rules for like chases. They're very specific. Then I flip to the next section. I'm like, holy crap, build your own starship.
There's a whole ass section just for starships. I mean, and we're going past equipment and crap like that. Because I mean, if you really want to, we can get into it. But let's see. Hold on.
Like equipment's cool. Lasers, they look really neat. Whatever, they're really deadly. But starships, though.
One of the biggest things before we get into starships, because that's going to be a big one. Before we get into starships, I really like the fact that they have like relegated like money to like a chip now. It's like there's no coins. What is this? You know, like no. Now you get
a credit card.
Yeah, you get credits. So now it's like, can you imagine we do like Dragon Heist and Starfinder? It's like, oh my god, 10 million gold. It's like in a thumb drive,
guarded by a gold dragon.
It's just like wearing it like around its neck or something like that, or it's like it's on its like keychain. But yeah, starships start on page 291 and they don't end until page 320.
Yeah, it's a whole section. This could be a whole little book.
Yeah, I want to say they have since expanded it, where it's like, oh, you want more starship crap? Yeah, here you go, knock yourself out.
And for what I understand, like it is expected for players to either already start with one, or really early on just get one. Like it's not like it's not like in D&D where like, oh, first of all, we don't really think about like cards and horses and stuff like that, but like whatever. But like this, it's like expected. Like I mean, it's like if you live in Florida, you have to have a car.
Yeah, I'm not gonna bicycle out in that weather. Are you kidding me?
I don't want to die.
Ugh. But no, but I mean, there is because we are talking about interstellar travel, there is an emphasis on like vehicles. Like there, you have to have, like, you can't just like, okay, my home planet needs me, like fly away on your own. Like you have to have something there. So I really like the fact that, okay, so if you so choose, you can either be like Star Trek where everyone's in one ship, or you can be Star Fox where everyone has their own little ships.
That'd be pretty killer. Also, even before we get,
you also have to be a pilot. So
yeah,
you have to have some sort of piloting skills.
even after even after, even before we get started with it, like it starts with just starting up your ship, like getting it ready.
It takes time to start up a ship. I mean, it takes a
like. I can imagine just fucking. Oh, we're in a rush. We're getting attacked really quickly, and then your DM is like, okay, that's gonna take about this many minutes because you have a big ass ship.
Yeah, I mean, if you have like an Indiana Jones moment where someone's like, "Start the engines! Start the engines!" You see like the pilot like flipping all the switches and stuff like that. Like, yeah, it takes a full minute to kick on the engines, which I mean, downtime, that's nothing. But like in the heat of combat, that's
rounds.
That's 10 whole ass rounds. You have to like
10 rounds to survive.
You have to keep occupied.
Are you done yet?
You're flooding the engine. Like someone's hitting the little priming button. But I mean, that is a thing. You can actually have your engines just overblow themselves, and they're like, "Oh, we got to get that mechanic in there. There's fucking sand in the engines." It's like, like knocking all the sand out and stuff. Meanwhile, the soldiers
that could be an amazing fucking like session or a couple of sessions just getting out of the heat of the moment.
Just
like
spending a minute just getting the engine started, and like the pilot has to make all those piloting checks because you got to put stuff on.
Yeah,
and like. Yeah, something fucks up in the back because like these natives or whatever like threw a spear or like a laser spear into one of the engines. So now the mechanic's like, god damn it, has to go out there and fix it and stuff like that. I mean, but like it'd be a really cool moment.
Also, like a minute is for a tiny ship.
Yeah.
How many does a tiny ship sit?
One.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm assuming a party will be like what, like a medium or a large?
Yeah, it says 1 minute per size category. So you have you have
tiny.
You have tiny, small, medium, large, huge, gargantuan, and colossal. So a medium ship would be enough to hold a party. So it'd be 3 whole ass minutes. I got you for 3 minutes while you're like trying to.
That's 30 rounds.
30 rounds, which I mean,
holy shit.
I mean, if you really want to be that DM where it's like, oh no, you decided not to start the engines until they got back, so 30 rounds, baby. 30 rounds just holding off people, just trying to knock off all these fucking aliens. Yeah. I mean,
that'd be great.
That would be awesome. That would be a whole session just getting off a planet.
Yeah.
That would be so cool. Like we spent 3 hours in a minute or 3 hours like condensed to 3 minutes.
Yeah. But like, dude, like all like I love it. Like I haven't read every single bit of this, but like all the tables with like different weapons, different thrusters, like different sizes, different types of chips. So to give a basic rundown, there are templates like later on in this part where it's like, oh, okay, if it's something where it's like, oh, I'll give you a spaceship for a reward, and like you get like some sort of like clunker or whatever, you can just pull a template. But like if your player's like, hey, we want to have our own ships, you can do that. And it'd be like, okay, well, you have enough money, I guess, to get a medium ship. So then depending on the size category, you get X amount of build points, or BP. Not British Petroleum. Anyways, you get X amount of build points. So if it's a tiny ship, you obviously get a small pool of build points. If it's a colossal ship, or actually it just says whatever tier it is. So you can, I guess you can still have like a tiny tier 20 ship, but it's like the most extravagant Star Fox ship there is in the universe. Anyways. So depending on the tiers, how many build points you're going to have. It's generally like rule of thumb, treat the tiers like you would the CR for a group. So if you have a level 1 group, they get a tier 1 ship, or they can have 4 tier 1 quarter ships. If it's a level 20 group, you give them a level 20 tier. So then using this using these build points, you have to first pick a base frame, which is like a chassis, which is like, okay, what kind of ship are we going for? Okay, it has this much AC, it has this much HP, this much room for crew, and it costs this much, and it's this size. And then after that, you can just kind of pick and choose, like thrusters, like
Like,
have
are we gonna go cheap on the drift thrusters? We better not,
Yeah.
because the cheaper, the more expensive, the more money you dump in the drift thrusters, the less time it takes
right.
to travel somewhere. And then you have to like buy computers, you have to buy armor, you have to buy
Mm-hmm.
cores for this. You have to buy a power core. And I like how one of the things was what was it? There was something where it's like cut rate. Yeah, you can have sensors on your ship, and if you get cut rate sensors, you actually take a negative to like perception checks and stuff like that, because you got like cheap ass sensors for your ship.
Yeah, I love that. And also, like in the back of the book, they have a starship character sheet essentially.
Yeah, it's a character sheet, and
so cool.
And if you look at the character sheet, you'll see it's like broken down into sections, because so the character sheet has a circle, and it'll say forward arc, aft arc, port, and starboard arc. And the reason why it says that is because no two ships are built alike, essentially, and you can have things on the port arc that are not on the starboard arc. So if you like put all of your guns in the port arc and the enemies come from the starboard, well, there's not much you can do.
Yeah.
You will have to, in combat, steer the whole ship around and then fire at them, unless you have a turret. So and then you can like place your shields wherever you want to place them. So I mean, combat, especially spaceship combat, maps are non-negotiable. You will have to have a map. Like there's no theater of the mind in this game.
Roll20 does have a hexagonal map. Nero Lancer, thank you so much for joining us. Yes, you have a wonderful rest of your day, and yeah, well, it'll be on YouTube on Wednesday. So, but thank you for stopping by.
Yeah, don't worry about
it. But yeah, no, dude, I agree. Like, this is it's so cool. Like, it's just all the little things that you can make a whole adventure just building a ship.
You can. There is so much dedicated to such little details.
Well, yeah. I mean, we haven't really played a game, so we don't know. Like,
but I mean,
buy an adventure, like,
the potential is there,
right?
You know?
Right.
Like,
I also love like the sample starships and everything that like they have the Oxian ship styles, which is described as not having an atmosphere, like not having like a protection from the void. It's just essentially a ribcage on space.
Because why would you? You're already dead. What is the coldness of space going to do to you?
And they look so brutal. They just look like rib cages. It is described as rib cage.
But one of the things I really like is that depending on the computer you get, because when you're in spaceship combat, it works kind of like ship combat in D&D. Not quite, but kind of. Where there are going to be things happening on a grand scale, like between spaceships, and then stuff happening on a smaller scale. So depending on the computer you have, if you have the basic computer, that's going to happen. But if you get a like more high grade computer, that computer helps you out while you're doing stuff. So like if you get like a normal computer, like it ain't gonna do jack shit. But if you get like the MK8 Duo node, it's like Jarvis for Iron Man, where it's like loading things up for you and helping you out, and it has like its own like defense systems and stuff like that. It essentially gives you a bonus to whatever you're going to do.
If you have a computer, is it just like all mechanical? You have to like turn it?
Yeah, I would.
Somebody's outside with a thruster, you're just kind of like moving it around.
Someone's like, start up the engine. They have to like crank it like an old 30s car.
It's a fucking lawnmower.
You gotta hit the prime button. You gotta prime
it. Keep it going.
No, but I would imagine like if we were like a normal computer would probably be like an equivalent to today's like spaceships. Like, you know, everything is controlled. Well, not everything, but like, you know, most things are controlled by the pilots. There might be some form of autopilot, but it's like, we might want to keep an eye on it. Whereas like I said, if you get like an MK5 computer, it's just like, all right, put this bad boy on auto travel. You know,
it plays lobby music.
yeah. but then like while you're in the
All the guns lock onto the enemy, killing. It's like a massacre outside.
But
meanwhile, inside is just.
and there might be like a small like every now and then, and you see like the mechanic just like.
So good.
and we spend a little bit extra for noise deafening shields.
When we get back, we gotta get that checked out. I'm hearing the screams every now and then.
Ooh, that was a big
In
one.
space, nobody hears you scream.
That was a big one. I heard that one.
Oh shit.
Yeah. But I mean, it does get more granular than that because there are going to be stuff like projectiles, like cannons, and then there's like target locked stuff. We're not going to get too terribly into it because we could dump like an hour and a half just into that in itself. But just know
there's also security systems for the shit.
There are. I mean,
and not just like locked doors where like actual like don't hack me, bitch.
Yeah. Oh God, let's not even get into hacking. There's. God, because I mean it's the future, so yeah, hacking is a thing. But it's like, oh my God, I like that's I'm sorry, that's the part where I checked out. Like I can't, it's too much information right now. I will have to dedicate more time.
We're doing the basics right now, Andrew. Okay.
Yeah. So, but I mean, just keep in mind, if you have a spaceship, it is a dedicated thing. It's not just a horse with a cart on it in space.
Yeah.
Like this is a whole ass thing, and you can spend a lot. You will probably spend a session just building your spaceship. Yeah. You know, and then you will probably spend multiple sessions just in your spaceship, just doing things like having your travels.
Learning how to parallel park.
Oh, in space, God! There, how can you parallel park when there's no up in space? It's a nightmare. Ow! I just hit myself.
You can't.
Yeah, my headphone cord was stuck in the chair, and I went and popped it out, and just smashed me right in the fucking face.
It makes you feel better. You couldn't see it on screen.
That's fine. But you're approaching us at a weird angle. What do you mean you're at a weird angle? No, usually when we approach, you're like this, but you're like, oh. We are the space beacons who are always right. You guys are the worst. We know. ABK, for anyone that doesn't know what I'm referencing.
All right. So, Andrew, tell me a little bit about combining spells.
I don't know anything about combining spells. What do you know about combining spells?
Very little. I was going through it. I'm like it was part of the spellcasting thing, and I'm just like, okay, cool. Reading just the regular spellcasting stuff, and then it's like combining spells. What?
I'm sorry.
So my understanding on it is essentially it's a boost based system. Like you just boost your spells.
Yeah.
Which I guess it kind of makes sense when you have like fucking laser beams that can go across the room, right? Like it just helps you. And I guess it has a lot to do with race and your class, as to how much you can do. But yes, you can combine spells to make them more powerful, which kind of makes sense. It's not I don't think it's to the extent of like a sorcerer, or you can like make him do like weird things and stuff like that. Like combine ice and fire, it negates, nothing happens. Good job.
Yeah, it's combining spells in this game, from what I understand, it's kind of weird, and that's because it feels, in a weird way, Magic has taken a step back, but it's also like evolving at the same time.
You say that, but have you seen the Magic and Spell section?
Oh no, I'm not. Believe me, it's weird. Okay, yeah, no, it's weird. Magic is definitely weird in this game. But like I said, Magic in a weird way, not exactly, but in a weird way, has kind of taken a step back to technology, because the highest level spell is 6. There are no 9th level spells anymore. It only goes up to level 6. But I mean, you're also, I think every class has proficiency with like small arms at the very least. So you're gonna have guns. You're gonna have like knives and stuff like that. But
it's literally the joke that we always make. Oh wow, a gun!
Yeah, I'm going to cast gun. So just like the cleric's like, I'm all out of healing touch. Just shoot the guy. But just like in 5e, there are There's not cantrips. There's level 0 spells, but you can cast them indefinitely. You can cast them until you're blue in the face. There's not. It's not like a 3.5 where there was a certain amount that you can only cast. But then after that, you have your spells like normal. I am so glad that they brought back the bonus spell table for the Mystic, because that was something that's like, oh, that brings me back to the 3.5 days where it's like depending on how high your wisdom is, you get extra spells because you're a good boy and you did your studying or something like that.
Oh, that's cool. All right.
Well, we'll get into the Mystic later. But yeah, just keep in mind that spells, there's not as many spells, but they do have like a bit of extra punch to them.
Mm-hmm. Like explode head.
Well, no, that's a class feature. That's not a spell.
Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, but you can also use depending on your class, you can also use your resolve points to give your spells a little bit of extra oomph. Or that might be just a class ability thing. I don't want to get misquoted on that. There's gonna be someone's angrily typing at me right now.
I can hear it right now.
I can hear the clacking of 1,000 keys. But I mean, you still have your classics. You still have like haste, bestow curse, zone of truth. But then you get weird stuff like psychic surgery, and like
what?
Yeah, like psychic surgery cures all intelligence, wisdom, and charisma damage and drain, plus removes other mental afflictions.
All right.
But then you have stuff like there's like stuff like control machines and whatnot. I mean, magic has evolved with the times, so it's like hold person, no, hold android, that's a problem.
Yeah, and that's also like we kind of forgot to touch, but like a lot of the ships and stuff, it could be magic, it could be science. Like, what powers this thing? Mm-hmm. Orc imaginations.
There is actually where I don't have it on me, unfortunately, but if you look in the Alien Archive, which is the monster manual, there are whales in space. And if you're nice enough to them, like if you do a favor for them, like be like, yeah, you can use me as a spaceship. That's totally cool. Here, jump in my mouth. We can all live in here. And it's just like, okay, cool. That's a thing. Apparently,
sweet.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I
call me Geppetto.
So yeah, that's a thing. Anyways.
Right. So let's keep moving down the line here. The next one I had was just I started with gravity, but I was like, wait, no, like there's just in general. Every planet, every biome is so different. A different atmosphere, different gravity weights. Like you cannot just go to a planet and expect it to like not affect you.
No, I mean depending on the planet, if it's something that's like, if it has like thin atmosphere, you're going to be like making fortitude saves just to breathe, if you don't have the proper equipment. If you same thing with toxic atmospheres. I think there's one for thick atmosphere too, where it's like if you don't have, essentially when you go to these planets, you got to know which equipment you need. Yeah. Like you're not just gonna like walk out like, oh, it's a habitable planet. No, motherfucker, this is the second planet from the sun.
Get some sunscreen.
Yeah, at the very least. But I mean, atmosphere is going to play a big role in travel. Like obviously, at places like Absalom Station, it's like it has artificial atmosphere, so everything's fine. Yeah. But anything outside of that, like especially if you're playing like a homebrew game, where it's like, oh, we're going to go into the vast, which is the equivalent of space. It's like we're going to go into the vast, and we don't know, like we heard a distress signal on some planet that's uncharted. We have no idea what kind of atmosphere this is. So you'll probably have to spend time once you land. You'll probably have to spend time using like your ship sensors to be like, oh, there's like it's like the atmosphere is toxic to blah blah blah. So we'll have to equip these masks and stuff like that, which can equate into, oh no, I took a shot in the face and it hit one of my air tubes. I have to go back to the ship because I'm dying. I mean, it's neat that it can get that granular if you so choose, and I will if I do run a game. like no, we need space. Like even if you can breathe, there might be parasites in the air or something. You don't know. Like,
this is a new planet. Nobody's been here. You know where it's been.
Yeah, exactly. But what and. depending on the atmosphere, you can get like diseases and stuff like that. Um, the biggest thing is that you're going to get fatigued. Like
Yeah.
you're going to get essentially what's exhaustion, because you're spending way too much time either trying to breathe through the atmosphere because the atmosphere is so thick, or trying to just breathe in general because the atmosphere is thin. Um, but yeah, atmosphere plays a big role, which is probably why most of the planets is like either has no atmosphere or has a regular atmosphere. Because like, okay, we don't want to be assholes, just have every planet be uninhabitable.
Yeah, and of course because we're in space, there is a whole lot of radiation to deal with.
Okay, so there is radiation poisoning. However, that's only one of the many diseases you can get in this game. So,
fun.
Yeah, so radiation is a thing, first of all, and depending on how close you are to the center of the radiation is how much poisoning you get. So it's something, I think it's something like if you're like 20 feet away from the radiation, you only get X amount of poisoning. And you have to make a certain DC to cure yourself from it. If you're 5 feet from that radiation, that DC like increases by 10. And like if you're touching the damn thing, it's like, hey, why is there graphite on the ground? Well, then you have a DC of like 30 for your fortitude save.
Why is there graphite on the ground?
Yeah, you didn't see any graphite. But I mean, and the neat thing is that like if you fail your save, you start what's called a track. Which this is true for poisons, drugs, addiction is something that your character might have to fight, which is like a disease in of itself, and curses. So depending on this, it's like, okay, every so often it describes it in the poison diseases, like how often you need to make these saves. Every so often I need to see a fortitude save or a will save or whatever. And if you make it, all right, cool, you're good. You go back on the track. Which if you're at the first like divot of that track, you're cured. You're great. If you fail that save, you go further into the track. And a lot of these end in either death or catatonic or some sort of brain death. So
jeez,
you better start making those saves, boy. Like if you're like on the fifth. If you're like on the fifth section, which is like the second to last, a lot of these end in death. I'm just gonna say this outright. A lot of these just end up straight in death. Yeah, because
it's kind of cool though, because there's like in that same section, there's so many things. There's smoke effects, starvation, thirst, suffocating and drowning, and slow suffocation. Like there's just so much.
Oh yeah, I think there's also like decompression is one of them too. Yep. Like if something blows the airlock out and you don't have an atmospheric suit on, you deal with decompression, because why wouldn't you?
Yep, I love how there's a table for gravity damage depending on gravity.
Yeah, because I mean if it's low gravity, there's going to be obviously less fall damage. Because but if it's higher gravity, you jump up 5 feet and boom, you got a compound fracture on the way down.
Catching fire, lava effect.
I mean, it's
radiation.
Just again, this is all stuff that you can expect from extraplanar or extraplanetary travel.
But you should. But like the difference here is like in D&D when like me as a DM, like you take 1d4 damage. Mm-hmm. You catch on fire unless otherwise you take 1d4 damage.
Nope, not
here. There's like there's specific there's like written out rules. I'm like, oh, I appreciate that, because now I know that my players can inhale smoke and die. Mm-hmm. Great.
Yep, you can die from smoke inhalation. Like I said, decompression is a big thing. All your blood vessels just pop.
when would you thought of like dying from smoke inhalation on a D&D game?
If it's like, okay, like you're in starship combat and you take massive damage to your starship and things just start smoking and like oh, we have to repair.
No, I'm saying like in our games of D&D, when was the last time you thought of like, oh wait, there's a lot of smoke in this area?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we probably should have died of smoke inhalation in Baldur's Gate. Let's be honest. You know.
Yeah.
But I mean that's the thing, because they have taken the time to like, oh no, atmosphere is a big thing. Like and smoke is obviously part of the atmosphere. So yeah, like you can go on a planet of smoke and it's like, oh, we're on Nicotinia or something like that. And there's one character that's just like, oh, breathe deep, boys. You know?
No, he has that like that aunt that smokes a lot voice.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Darlings.
I am the queen of Nicotinia. Behold my youthful physique. I'm only 23 years old.
She looks like she's like 75.
All the walls are yellow here. I don't like it. It's sticky. Oh man! If you're a mechanic, your droid just immediately gets gunked up from all the shit in there. Oh, and you're like, oh, that's gonna take a while for me to blow that out.
I like how there's also specific for underwater combat too.
Yes.
Like attacking from underwater, spellcasting underwater, attacks from land.
Well, I mean, not only that, but because you're dealing with space, you're also going to have to deal with combat in 3 dimensions just in general. So yeah, underwater combat's going to be a thing too. Because I mean, why not? You might come across a planet that's an ocean planet, like an Interstellar. You know, so like you have to think of these things, and they thought of these things, and I appreciate the fact that they thought of these things.
All right, Andrew. Moving on to your favorite, or to your second, third, maybe favorite part of this whole thing. I like how you wrote it. So many fucking guns.
There are so many guns in this game.
But let's start with basic melee weapons. So you have a club, you have a baton, you have a battle glove, you have dueling swords.
But no, so what I really like is that the way you build a character in this game, you start out with, I think it's like 1,000 credits, you know, and it's like, and there's no starting equipment in this game because this is not 5e. Like, you know, this is a big boys TTRPG. I know.
So many guns.
But so it's like, okay, here's $1,000. Go crazy. You have to buy your equipment. And it's generally considered like set. I think it says it in the book, but your DM can also, or GM, sorry, there's no DMs in this one. There's GMs.
Nope, that's trademarked.
Yeah, your general manager, not your district manager, will have to decide what tier your party can get equipment at. And again, it's the same thing like spaceships. There's 1, I believe, to 20, and it even says in the book that like most weapon shops, like if you were to go to like the equivalent like a Bass Pro Shop,
it's based on levels, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But that's what your tiers are. So it's like, but it also depends on availability. So it's like if you go to like the space equivalent of like a Bass Pro Shop, they're probably gonna have at most a level 2 or a tier 2 weapon. But if you go like in the underground, like, you know, like oh, like we got this off a military unit or something like that. That would be like your tier 4, tier 5. And then anything above that is like catastrophic weaponry. Where it's like we're dealing like 10d20 damage or some crap like that. I mean, hold on.
This thing has a warp shot.
You think I'm kidding? Let me.
Well, I'm looking at the Shiren-eyed rifle.
Mm-hmm.
It's a warp shot. 10d10 power damage.
Yep. 10d10, baby. And then
the most damage a heavy weapon does. It's a 7d10.
Yep. And that's a heavy machine gun too. But I mean, but the thing about it is that there's 8d10 too. You forgot the plasma cannon. But not only that, but certain weapons, like you're gonna have like grenade and rocket launchers, and so you're like, okay, what kind of ammo? Am I using just normal grenades? Well, then they do this much damage. Am I using like an energy grenades and they do this type of energy damage? Like you can have like cryo grenades, you can have fire grenades, you can have like shock grenades and stuff like that. So ammunition plays a big part to it too. So if you're like a weapons enthusiast, this is definitely the game for you, because you're gonna have to like take stock of what kind of ammunition you have or what's available.
And keep track of all of it.
Keep track of everything. And like, have you seen some of the prices on this stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like the cost of a shock grenade, like the highest like level shock grenade is 110,000 credits. So yeah, we're not dealing with no 50 gold here. Like we're talking big.
Yeah.
We're talking big boy numbers.
Dude, these weapons, there's so many fucking weapons.
There are, and you have to think about batteries for energy weapons. You have to think about like rounds for a normal like I guess analog gun. If I really had
I just saw the price for the most expensive heavy armor, the Vesk Monolith Third, 827,250 credits.
But have you seen how much AC it gives you?
26, 27 plus 26 plus 27.
Yeah.
I am unmovable.
But you're gonna need that because there are space dragons, which are
yes.
which I marked out on because it's dragons with laser beams attached to their heads. I'm not even kidding. Pew, pew, pew. So I mean, you could just be like flying through space and da, 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 space dragon. Da, 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 da. I mean, the possibilities are endless. We're in space, people. Just go nuts. I can't get over it. We need to play this.
We will play it. We will play it, Andrew. Promise.
All right. Yeah, but but because this is in the future, like there are melee weapons. Don't get me wrong, and there are like advanced melee weapons. Like you will have like energy swords and
yeah, they look cool too. I'm just eyeing over the shiny rifles, but like the swords look badass.
But I mean, like you do have like lightsabers and like energy swords and crap like that. But there are like
a molecular rift dueling sword.
Sure.
What the fuck does that do?
It shreds them down to their very atoms. Anyways,
10d6 slashing damage.
Oh my god. That's just anyways. But then lots of emphasis on ranged combat. You got pistols, you got sniper rifles, you got heavy machine guns and stuff like that. So I mean, just whatever kind of game. If you saw any sci-fi movie and you're like, I want to do that, you can do that.
You can do it. Yeah.
You can do it from as gritty as like Blade Runner, the original, to super fantastical. Like you could be like as fantastical as like Star Wars or something like that, or you can loop back around and you can do Dune, where it's like there are energy weapons, but we don't use them because they are illegal because they will blow everything up. So, I mean, the sky is no longer the limit because we're in space.
Yes. Okay, Andrew, I'm gonna ask you a question right now.
Okay, sorry.
Take a breather. Hold on. Take a breather. We can either move on and talk about classes and races, right? Which we're already at 2 hours, or we can hold that and make that a whole episode.
I think we should probably make that a whole episode
because there's a lot of I thought we were gonna go through the bullet points a lot faster than we did.
Nope.
No.
I mean, but I mean, this just kind of speaks as to
There's a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot.
There's a lot.
This is a chunky source material, and this is just one book. Like this isn't even like the monster manual. Which, by the way, the monster manual has tactics for how monsters are gonna act. Like,
I also love how the Alien Archives are released in like much smaller books, but more often.
Yes,
which gives chance to like dedicate. For the creators to dedicate time to each monster, right? Release it in small bulks, and then keep working on more instead of trying to like cram all of that into one book.
But not only that, but a lot of the monsters are playable races because why wouldn't they be?
That's true.
And also a lot of them are templates. So it's like there's I think there's a monster that's just like a mercenary, which is like it's like a like a basic person. Like they have a gun and they have armor, but it's like okay, you need to pick and choose what kind of race they are, what kind of abilities they have, and boom, you got yourself a different type of mercenary. But But yes, we should. We should probably do classes on a next episode, unless this is gonna be the 4-hour episode.
No, this is not gonna be the 4-hour
It
episode.
can't be.
No, I'm already tired.
We were this close.
We haven't even started on the class.
We haven't even gotten to the races yet.
Yes, dude. Listen, I wanna play this. Next time you have to take a break or whatever the monthly thing, I think I'm gonna just do
the starter adventure.
The starter adventure.
I would
because
I would love that.
Because dude, we've been meaning. How many times have we talked about like running any Starfinder adventure for like the past year? Like I feel like there's always a moment. For some reason we haven't done it.
The only thing I'm afraid of is just how intimidating it is. Because it is intimidating. There's a lot to take in.
Well, so there's one on Roll20 that comes with pre-generated characters.
Yes.
Perhaps
that will be the best way to do it.
Yeah, I think so, because that way people can just like grab one and then go and then learn the mechanics, work through it, play the adventure, and then they can be like, okay, this is really cool. Yeah. Let me make my own thing.
I mean, if you were to read this, like if you were like me, coming from 5e, and you were to read this and then immediately think, I'm going to make a homebrew setting, you're nuts. Like, you're insane. You need to be.
Yeah, no.
You need to be in an institution.
No, thank you, dude. I am okay with just a level 1 starter adventure.
And the starter adventure, I mean, I didn't read the whole thing, but I did read a little bit of it, and it is very basic, which is not a bad thing. That's what you want it to be, and but it does go over a little bit of everything.
So the other thing I wanted to talk to you about is we kind of touched this on things that grinds our gears, that episode on D&D, but the way they release the adventures, they release them 1 through 6, so it's book 1 through 6.
Yep.
And they're small and usually like a couple of levels each, but it allows you to just, and they're all like, each book is like they all have like a actual, like, they all wrap up, but it's part of a bigger storyline. So you don't have to necessarily invest on that $50 book. You can just buy the $23 or whatever $25 book that this is, play the adventure, see how you like it, whatever, you know what I mean? Like, they're released in smaller chunks, but more often.
And the better part of that is that if you don't want to have to sit through the level 1 through 3 grind, you can just buy the second book and jump off at like level whatever it is, and then how your characters got to know each other through the first adventure can just be the backstory. So you can immediately jump into the meat and potatoes of it if you so choose, which, I mean, I wouldn't want to do that right now because, like I said, we're babies. We know nothing about Starfinder outside of just reading it. So that level 1 to 3 grind is necessary.
Well, but also I'm gonna say this, and maybe because we excuse me.
Oh God, you're drunk.
I'm dying. But it sounds to me like Starfinder is a lot more fast-paced, like action-wise, than D&D is.
I would imagine.
I'm getting cyberpunk red vibes here, where it's just like very like, and if not necessarily like what the things that are happening, it's just the things that you're running as a player and as a DM. All the things that are happening and all the little chunks might make the level 1 through 3 not necessarily a grind.
Well, I mean, but also, I mean, another thing about it is that there is no milestone leveling.
Oh, yeah. I was looking through, I was like, wait, there's no milestone.
It's all XP, baby. So, you know what? Start killing them hobos, because you need to grind for levels. Let's go out and hunt some space boars, because we got to level up so I can get this cool gun. I mean, but that is so. I mean, that is something else you have to take into account. Is that like, okay, now XP is a thing, so now I gotta figure out what the XP is.
Yeah. Well, they make it. I kind of read it. Like, I read the breakdown. Apparently, most DMs hold off until the end of the game.
You mean GMs? There are no GMs.
Sorry.
God.
Sorry. I know. Unbelievable. Hold off to the end of the session to give the experience to the players.
Yeah.
So in case they do level up, they whatchamacallit, they do it between sessions.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way they break that. The way they break down, also like, the way they make it so you like keep track better. It's much easier. Like, it feels easy. I don't know. It seems like a lot, but it's not.
I mean, you say, oh, you level like XP, and a lot of like 5e DMs are like, oh no, but it's like, no, it's you just calculate how many
Yeah.
situations the character's going to be in. You just
Encounters.
thank you, the encounters, and then you just get that XP total, and it's like, okay, everybody gets 1,000 XP because you did this many
Right.
encounters, and boom, that's it.
Right.
You know, so whatever.
Yeah.
It's really not that bad.
Yeah. Well, Andrew, we did it. We started the conversation of Starfinder.
We started the conversation. We went into this knowing this was going to be a chunky boy, and we didn't even get to the classes. That's
There's still so much more.
just like 3 hours of talking about spaceships. And we didn't even get that granular into it.
No, we didn't go into each specific thing. We did an overview. It was an overview.
Like,
what we did
and it was like, honestly, kind of insulting how little we dipped into this overview. Like, we skimmed over a lot of stuff. We're just like, yeah, spells are cool. Anyways,
there's magic. Whatever.
Yeah.
Guns.
Let's talk about guns, people.
Oh man. Whew. All right, Andrew. Now we get to move on to the next, the next aspect, the next segment of our show. Session highlights.
Okay, so we talked about the future. Now we're going back to the past
Wah, wah.
to play some shitty games that suck ass. That's the angry Nintendo nerd.
It's the angriest you've ever.
Anyways, though, so we have two. Okay, this is going to be a weird one because we actually played two different games or two different campaigns.
Yeah.
So betwixt episodes, we experienced two different campaigns.
So we concluded the first part of Heather's pirate adventure.
Yeah, the sinister secret of Salt.
The sinister spooky.
The sinister
mansion.
spooky secret of sinister Salt Marsh Salt House.
I know which highlight you're gonna go with, but go ahead. Like go. That whole.
Okay, so I don't want to.
Do you want to kind of like give a little recap of the last session?
Well, hold on.
Okay.
I will, but first I need to give an out of context answer, so people will be like, "What?" I gotta hook them in. So I don't.
Wait. Let me restart. Andrew, what was your session highlight?
The Crab Shack. Anyways, so I don't want to say anything bad about Heather's DMing because she was great. She did a great job.
Yeah.
But my highlight had to be just the fucking chaos that was the Crab Shack. I mean, we had a really cool moment later on in that session, and that was awesome. But the Crab Shack. Okay, so to give context, we finished up. We kind of finished up like what the goings on in the house and stuff like that. We dealt with all the combat. So Heather was like, okay, well, you guys need to go back to town to do this, that, and the other. I'm like, okay, cool, let's go. And while we were back in town, after we dealt with like the kind of like weird politics going on in Salt Marsh.
Wait, hold on. Because she kind of like moves us to the town map. Oh, by the way, guys, I forgot to let me to tell you that you can pick where you live in this town. So we all pick random. We're like.
I think that was after we dealt with, like.
Yeah, that was after that, but before the characters moved.
Yeah.
So it was just us, not the characters. I was like, oh, pick. So we pick what we liked, and we're like, oh, we like this one. So Andrew and I were like, oh, we roomed together here, like.
Yeah, because
Gorgon,
because we hate
Yolan
each
lives
other.
with Gorgon over here.
We have this weird passive aggressive like relationship with each other. Anyways, so like, what's it? Robert's character. God, I am drawing a blank on his character's name. Krista, yeah, because she's a forge cleric is like, okay, I want to pick a place that has a forge, and Heather's like, okay, well, this is that. Alex's character I'm also forgetting the name. There's too many names to think of.
Cicero.
Cicero is obviously picked the biggest house because he's a noble. You know, he picked the
Yeah.
biggest, fanciest place. We unknowingly picked the shittiest house in all of Salt Marsh. Like you were just like, okay, this house, and Heather just cracks the fuck up. And because she's like, oh, that house was overran by crabs and has since been abandoned, and we're like, not anymore, it ain't. And we just shack up in this like ramshackle piece of shit crab infested house.
What I love about that, I think she kind of was expecting us to change,
No,
but we're like, nope.
nope, this is our house, baby. We got a premium on this deal.
No, we didn't.
No, we didn't. No, but we didn't know that. We as characters didn't know that. So instead of just being a normal house, it is a house carpeted by crabs, and we just live there. We just deal with it. And the next,
there's like I imagine it that like there's like holes on the wall looking out, like there's barely a ceiling. It's just like...
And for some reason, the more you describe it, the less detail there is. Like there's less walls, there's less feature, there's a piece of furniture and stuff like that. And
the thing is that so she's when we come back to town, we come back on a little boat. And we just so happened to land on the closest close to where we were at was our crab shack.
Yeah.
So we invite everybody to stay and have a good time.
And we're just like, oh man, come on in. We can all relax. They're just horrified by the conditions that we live in. And then the part that got me laughing the most, and I'm talking about like the next day I was cracking up, and people were like, "What are you laughing at?" I'm like, "Don't worry about it." Was you posted a GIF of a crab with a knife, and I'm like, Gorgon the crab's got the knife again, and then we start having like a small back and forth where and then Robert's like, "Oh, you mean rapier?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's the rapier," and stuff like that, and then we start having a small back and forth where he's like, "I told you to put it on a high place," and I'm like, "I did put it on a high place." And it's just like a small peek into like the absolutely pathetic living conditions that these two characters live in for some reason.
It was so good. What the fuck was that?
Man,
I had to apologize to Heather after the fact. I was like, I am so sorry.
I mean, it was just pure chaotic character building in the worst way possible. Because I mean, the whole idea was that my character was like comically
bumming.
poor. Yeah.
And
and so we just took it to the next level where it's like, no, these guys live in destitution.
And then you go to sleep, and you go to sleep on a bumpy couch full of crabs, and I just stand in the corner and go to sleep. The way I sleep is like standing against the corner of the
and then we keep dropping small hints about like features that the house has that we're used to, but everyone else is not. Like there was one time where like, oh yeah, I hear Gorgon singing in the crab shower. He's not that great. And then like there's some people like, wait, crab shower? And we don't reference it ever again because we don't elucidate what it means. We don't expand on it. We just move on with the adventure.
It was so good. I like how they were leaving. You're like, oh, you guys don't want to stay for the perfect pay-per-view fight? And it was two crabs fighting.
Yeah, two crabs with boxing gloves. And one of us uses the crab like a can opener or a bottle opener to... I mean,
we eat crab. It's just like, it's fresh.
Yeah, just absolutely horrifying conditions. And it was
Krista and sister were just like, we gotta go.
Like, what are you guys talking about? Come on, the fight's gonna start.
We saw nothing wrong with what was happening.
Why would we? We've been living here our whole lives, pretty much. Oh man.
And the thing is that for some reason it developed into the fact that like Andrew's character Eolin found that place, and I trust Eolin to that this is a great deal. So as we're making it back to the haunted house, Krista keeps mentioning, like, she mentioned something. I don't know. It was like the talk was about like how much money it was that place was worth, and I'm like, wait, what? It's not like it's
there was a moment where I said, well, yeah, the rent's only like 10 gold a month or something like that, and Chris was like, why are you paying so much? I'm like, it's seaside property, and she's like, all property is seaside property, and then I'm like, oh, I just realized I got scammed.
And Gorger starts questioning, like, wait, what? Like,
and then there was a moment,
you tell me it's not a 10 gold a month is not a good deal?
and then there was a moment where we decide we're where we're like debating squatting in the haunted mansion, and we're just,
we go upstairs and we're like, they describe, Heather describes like the floor falling and all that stuff, and I'm like Gorger's like, hey, Yolan, isn't this good real estate? Can we get this?
Yeah, and then I'm like, oh, this place has windows. I don't know if we can afford this place, Gorgon. So now it's like Aelin and Gorgon are like house hunters or something. It's such a weird turn because we were like mortal enemies last session, and now we're like Gorgon's looking for a house that's by the seaside, but Aelin wants it within their budget and stuff like that.
Oh, dude, I laughed so that whole fucking session.
Oh man,
it's so ridiculous.
So I mean,
and then
so we might move into that house, just because people think it's haunted. We can just squat in it. It's fine.
Who knows?
Yeah, we got there's squatters right in Faerun, right?
My session highlight was, so we somehow found we have to like get into the ship and like sneak in and kill.
Well, I mean, we discovered we can communicate with the smugglers via like a
right. Details.
Yeah,
we make it to the ship.
Yeah. Okay.
we make a plan, right? Oh, we're gonna do this, blah blah blah, boom boom boom. The classic 20-minute plan making. As soon as the first round starts, Yolan gets pushed off the ship.
Yep, picked off the ship, and that's it. The whole thing just falls apart. Well, I mean, I made a bad deception check. And,
yeah.
And that was it. The whole thing kind of unraveled from there.
Yeah, but like, so we have, that was so epic.
And
we had this huge fight.
What followed was the most stressful combat I've ever been a part of.
It was so stressful because Yolan, Andrew's character was off the ship, so he was like underwater or whatever. He was having this weird communications with a deep one. I don't know what. But everybody up on top is just fighting for their lives, and like, I think Cicero goes down first. Then then Kristen and Gorgon are just going back to back, and then out of nowhere, fucking sluice of water just kind of puts Yolan back.
Yeah, just like a Moana tentacle of water. Yeah.
And then he's now a warlock.
I'm like, hey guys, check this shit out. But even then, with the newly acquired warlock powers, it's we almost die. Like,
so Kristen goes down. My highlight is this: Kristen goes down, and then Gorgon's like fucking murdering all these people. But then he goes down, right? And then it's just Yolan with his magic, and he's just like trying to like kill this dude, and the dude won't go down. And then I roll a natural 20,
and he just jumps back up.
I get back up just like a fucking mommy and start smashing the shit out of that person.
Just like in the background, just like Kane from WWE, just.
And then like I keep killing, I kill like 2 more or whatever, and then like somehow I just kept rolling really well, and then I go down again, and then Yolan manages to like take this guy down. I don't remember exactly what happened, but essentially was the captain went down. The first mate went down, and then somebody else came back up, and then that's the person that we were fighting. The whole point is that we were trying to.
This ship had a lot of people in it.
Yeah, we were trying to talk to her to be like, oh, let us go. We killed your captain, blah blah blah. And Yolan was driving that conversation, but Yolan is really bad at everything that is not like playing music. I mean, like his wisdom is like super low. So he's trying to talk to Krista, who's down. So Chris is on the floor, like down, and she's like, every now and then it's like a small little word here and there, trying to like lead the conversation the correct way.
Krista, I need your help.
Yeah, it's like, Krista, help me with this negotiations. And the whole time, like I'm in the floor, rolling towards them, like, wake me up, wake me up.
No, shut up, Morgan. This is not gonna go this way. Yeah, so everybody is stabilized except, and I'm like on like 3 HP. Like
It was bad.
Things are bad. And so it essentially became like a negotiation where just like, okay, we'll give you all of our loot if you just don't let us die. And you're like, okay, cool. And then so we have a ship now, but we have no money. All of our money's essentially just gone. Yeah, or crew. We're just floating like a duck just in the water. Like, okay, cool. All right, we're all level 3 now. But I mean,
but I sorry, I completely forgot that Gorgon actually came back to life twice.
Oh yeah,
once because he got stabilized and back up to 1 point, so he took down some people and then they brought him down, and then he came back with a natural 20. So like the pirates were just terrified of Gorgon, but every time Gorgon went down, they will go back to fighting, and then Gorgon will come back up. Like, oh,
why won't you die? I mean, Gorgon really became the Michael Myers of that fight, where it's just like he's not human. But I mean that little bit of combat that we had, like, really, because I used to be like a purist when it came to classes. I'm like, I don't like multi-classing. I like to stick on the blah blah. But man, that was a real good, like, okay, there might be something to multi-classing, because it was just like popping off spells left and right and like mixing bard abilities with warlock abilities. I'm like, okay, all right, okay.
I can dig this.
That section was really cool. The whole like dealing with it was supposed to be a fathomless one, but because I had to build it real quickly and we didn't have the resources to do the fathomless one, I didn't want to type it in. I just made it a great old one instead, which I'm like, that's cool, because I mean, deep dark ocean, great old one fits right in. Yeah. So, but yeah, it came back as
it was great though, because like by the end of the fight, like Gorgon is just pissed at that person. Like, we didn't even get their name, but if Gorgon see them again, it's going down.
Oh yeah. So I think this is another case where like the whole session was the highlight.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh man. Oh, that was so good. And then the other game we had was, I ran my short adventure that I wrote, a Rowdy Surprise.
A talk of opportunity first. An actual a full blown homebrew. No books, no nothing. Just came straight from Jose's mind. Just plucked it right out. He totally didn't rip anything off.
Nothing, not even a little bit.
I mean it. Don't knock yourself too hard. You know, it's your first adventure. Like, you know, don't sell yourself short. It was fun. We had a good time. So
it was great. What was your session highlight there?
Let's see. I actually have to think back. My session highlight would have to be the crazy old coot that tried to that like started out as like a conspiracy theorist, and then like 5 minutes later became like the raccoon of the town. Like he was described as going through like people's trash, and he was like trying to climb into windows.
That was you guys.
And we were like the part that killed
the part that killed me was crawling into the window, because like he's trying to talk to the group, but he's like outside the establishment where there's a big window, and Heather's character is right there, so he knocks on the window. Heather opens it, and as soon as she opens, it's like, oh, thank you for letting me in, and he starts crawling into.
We're like, whoa! We start like pushing him back out,
and both monks with their staffs on you, like.
Actually, I'm a ranger, not a monk.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
No,
buddy, you get back out. But I mean, like a small side note, like Howard's character is fucking beefy. Like, holy shit.
I mean, his name is Brick.
I mean, he played a rogue monk multi-class.
Yeah,
and he had like almost like to make 30 HP and stuff like that, and he was doing stupid damage like barehanded. Like, holy crap.
Yeah, it was intense. What you call it? My session highlight. It's gonna sound awful. It's me accidentally killing the dog.
Okay,
and only because you guys got so like angry at the baddies.
So to give a little bit of context, I'm playing a ranger named Rangi, and I have a dog named Zig, which is a 1,000% reference to the movie Hunt for the Wilder People. I choose this super cute artwork of an Australian blue cattle because I'm like, there's no way he can kill this dog. And so combat starts, and I'm like, go Zig, go attack, and stuff like that. And Zig gets in like in the middle of combat, starts attacking all these goblins, and the goblins just all wheel on him and just and within a round, Zig is dead. And we're just like, and everyone's just like, oh my god, they killed the fucking dog.
Dude, you to be fair, you
No,
sent
I know.
Zig into the middle of a bunch of fucking goblins.
I just wasn't expecting you to kill a dog.
So a couple of things led to that. I was rolling without whispering my rolls. So I was like, oh, whatever, I'll make it more interesting. And it did. So when they attacked, I couldn't hide it. It was like, attack.
Yeah.
Damage. It's like, oh, shit. I didn't think this through. So now I'm the DM who kills the pets.
So that made this like a fun little goblins are trying to steal from the tavern to no goblin genocide now. and like you describe it as like the townsfolk turn on the goblins, like they stop being afraid and they start like fighting back.
They have a broomstick and they just
the shotgun shell flies out of the broomstick. Yeah. But it's just like even the rest of the player characters like Zig.
Yeah, to be fair, Zig is like the favorite of everybody in town. They don't even know who Rangi is. It's just like
they just know Rangi as Zig's owner. Like they don't even care about like Zig's the actual character. Rangi's just mechanics. You know.
Yeah, but you learned though. Now you don't send Zig into the middle of it.
So how fun was it pronouncing all those R names?
Oh my god. Okay, I got used to it towards the end, but like that, it was like Rowena, Rangi, and
Ringo.
I can't even remember Ringo.
Ringo,
yeah. Like, right back to each other. I'm like, what is happening right now? I had like a brain tumor.
Because what's it? When we were talking in the group chat, we were going back and forth in character designs. Like I was like, oh, I'm gonna play a ranger named Rangi and stuff like that, and like some things later, like Alex is like, oh, I'm also gonna play a ranger, and like his name's gonna be Ringo and stuff like that. And I'm like, are we all just gonna be our names? And then Heather's like, yep, I'm Rowena and stuff like that.
And I think the only reason Howard and Robert didn't join in that is because Robert did his character first.
Yeah, so he had one hot and ready to go.
And I'm sure that Howard did not see that conversation at all.
Yeah.
The D20 chat.
Because I mean, if it was, he probably would have been Rick instead of Brick and stuff like that.
Yeah. But, I mean, which, by the way, Howard, it's not too late to change it.
I mean, Brick can just be a name, Rick. like a nickname. Rick can be your actual name. You know.
Right. Exactly.
So, but yeah, we're all. But this is the first time we actually had like overlap on classes. Because like normally I'm like a huge stickler for like, oh no, if someone's playing something that I want to play, I'll just pick a different class because I like balance. I'm like, screw it's a one shot. So I'm like, okay, we can have 2 rangers, we can have 2 monks.
2 rangers, 2 monks it's great.
And an artificer.
Oh my god, fucking Robert and his voices. It's just God. It's so good. I can't stop laughing.
I can't wait for him to DM, and I'm gonna keep track of all those voices. You know,
he keeps tracks of them. I'm telling you, he's good.
That's dedication, and I appreciate it.
He's not like us who forgets after the first sentence,
or just like, I'm not good at this accent. I'm just gonna drop it. Or like me, I just don't even bother with an accent anymore.
It's just you.
That's just me. All my characters are just me. All my characters are just different aspects of me, and that goes into NPCs. So.
Oh man. All right. Any other highlights?
No, that's it. That's all I got.
Any news?
No.
Nothing
related to D&D.
Yeah, the world's falling, but who cares about that? That got dark real quick. But with that, I guess I'll wrap up the episode. Thank you, all of you who've joined us. Neurolancer, thank you for commenting and giving us some pointers on Starfinder. I hope you had a good time. I hope you learned something. I hope we intrigued you a little bit about Starfinder. Maybe we'll give it a shot as well. But as always, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for being here with us. Have a great rest of your week. And as always, keep on gaming. Bye.
Bye.